All right, Larry Krueger back with you from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show, just back from Scottsdale, Arizona, courtesy of the New York Style Italian Sausage Company. Talking a lot of baseball over the weekend, but today, NFL free agency kicks off. It actually officially kicks off on Wednesday, but today is the day where all the announcements start to come down. And it came, 1 year after we thought he was going there, but leaving, but Jimmy Garoppolo is finally done in San Francisco, and it is official. Garoppolo has agreed to a deal with the Raiders that will send the ex-Niner to Sin City. 3-year deal for up to $67.5 million, $34 million guaranteed, according to Adam Schefter. And Garoppolo, I'll always have positive thoughts about Jimmy Garoppolo. 49ers traded a second-round pick to the Pats to acquire Garoppolo in 2017. They were 1-10 that year when he took over as the starter. And then they finished the year on a 5-game winning streak, and he, at 6-10. And they went 38-17 in games started by Garoppolo over the next 5 seasons. They went to a Super Bowl with Jimmy G. They went to an NFC Championship game with Jimmy G. A lot of injuries, though. And, he will now get a chance to kind of prove exactly what he is. He joins Josh McDaniels, who he knows well from New England. He knows that system. He knows that offense. And, in a lot of ways, I think Vegas is the perfect market for Jimmy G. McDaniels was the Pats offensive coordinator when they drafted Garoppolo in 2014. And he steps into an offense that has some of the best weapons in all of pro football. I mean, let's be honest. What do you want? You want a number one receiver. They got that. Devontae Adams. You want a number one running back. Oh, they have that. Josh Jacobs. Oh, you want a dominator at tight end because, man, they used to have George Kittle. Love to have a dominator at tight end. Oh, they do have a dominator at tight end. His name is Darren Waller. You know what? I'd like a sticky-handed possession receiver who I can get the ball on key third downs and use as a continuity piece to keep my offense on the field. Bingo. There's Hunter Renfrow. So the downside for Jimmy G, he now steps into a division that has Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Russell Wilson, who's now going to be paired with Sean Payton. So overall, though, I think, if you're a 49er fan, that woman who was doing the cartoons of Jimmy G until he moved off, she can now go on and color new cartoons. But obviously, more seriously, I really enjoyed Jimmy G. And, are there better quarterbacks? Yeah. Is Brock Purdy better? Yeah. Is Trey Lance potentially better? Yeah. But Jimmy G is not chopped liver. He's coming off a year where I thought we saw real growth out of Jimmy Garoppolo this last year. He threw for 2,400 plus yards, 16 touchdowns, 4 picks. What did he do? He's synonymous with a couple things: being injured a lot, and also for making, how many times you hear people say, well, he's incredibly resilient after a huge negative play. Jimmy has a way to bounce back. Yeah, the unspoken part of that is there is a huge negative play coming, and then he has to somehow bounce back from that. But this year, we saw him for the first time in a 49er uniform throw the ball away. Brady did it. Breeze did it. Rodgers did it. For whatever reason, Jimmy G I don't know if it's just macho, whatever. I'll take a sack. I'll try to make a play. He tries to make plays. Now, if you're the Raiders and you've been looking at Captain Checkdown, Derek Carr, I have no competitive bones in my body anymore, and I'm just here for the money, and I'm throwing the ball into the turf on 4th downs at the end of games instead of throwing it down the field. This unbelievably overly cautious, super conservative, broken mentally quarterback. You're going to love Jimmy G. Why? Because he's not broken mentally, and he's not a bad competitor like Carr. He's a great competitor. Carr had lost his way. The Saints are not going to like what they found in Carr unless they can rehabilitate him, because he just threw the ball into the turf and in key downs. Jimmy G and Carr are the absolute opposites. Carr was willing to just throw the ball away. Just self-preservation was his priority. Jimmy G will take that hit. He's a tough guy. He'll try to keep the play alive. So in a lot of ways, if you're a Raider fan, this is a great day because this is a refreshing. This guy's going to be incredibly refreshing compared to what you just had. You had non-competitive Derek Carr who was mentally broken, throwing the ball into the turf at the end of games, and now you have a Jimmy Garoppolo who's just finally figured out that if he just can throw the ball away, when on negative plays, if he can just not allow the negative plays to define his entire game, then he can win a lot of games. So in a lot of ways, I think this is a great move for the Raiders. I think Raider fans are really going to love it. And then as far as the 49ers, they're losing a guy who every guy in that room liked. Jimmy G was a very popular teammate. He's a tough guy. He's real. He's a Midwestern guy with great work ethic. He's a cool guy. People liked him. There's a lot. George Kittle, McCaffrey, several guys, many guys on defense. They had an appreciation for Jimmy G. They understood he wasn't the perfect quarterback, but they also admired his toughness and admired his ability to stand in against the rush. He will stand in against the rush, take a hit, and keep his eyes posted downfield and try to make a play. That's considerably more than you can say for Derek Carr. The key with the Raiders is going to be how good of an offensive line can they build in front of him? Can they protect him? Jimmy G's had seasons where he was sacked 36 times, 29 times, in 2021. He's got to be protected. They have to build a line around him. But if they do, I think you're looking at a quarterback that's going to complete about 68, 69% of his passes. He's going to have more touchdowns and interceptions. You're going to win more games than you lose. You may not win games all the time, but you're not going to lose necessarily because of Jimmy G. I think that's going to be a nice fit with the Raiders. I think he's going to have a nice little run there. I think the fans are going to love him. I think the Raider offensive players are going to love the fact that Jimmy's a competitor, a far better competitor than Carr. So great move by the Raiders. For the 49ers, just a foregone conclusion. They knew Jimmy was out the door, and today it's official. Jimmy G, a new member of the Silver and Black. All right, that does it for our 49er video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle, our title sponsor. And we just got back from Scottsdale, Arizona, courtesy of New York style Italian sausage. And all week long, we'll be streaming and doing videos on the 49ers. So keep it locked on the Krug Show on YouTube for all of your Niner coverage throughout free agency and leading into the April NFL draft.